We continue our team coverage in the aftermath of Superstorm Sandy in the U.S. Sean Callebs is live in Toms River, New Jersey, where the damage is tremendous, yet people are already talking about rebuilding. Sean, how difficult is this going to be?
Elaine, it's going to be very difficult for a couple of reasons. First, the sheer size of the devastation that came with this hurricane, this superstorm. I want to show you this. If I step out of the way here, this is a dock that washed up from probably a couple of kilometers away from where we are. To stand on top of it, you can see it goes way out there. This is just a massive debris field that washed up here. That is going to be part of the problem, cleaning up and moving on. But secondly, how do you do this? Just last year, there was another hurricane, Irene, and it washed out boardwalks throughout much of New Jersey. Now the question's coming up from environmentalists and coastal engineers. We have to think about how we rebuild these coastal areas.
It's a scene being played out all along the New Jersey shoreline. Crews are cleaning up and pushing debris out of the way. But in towns like Spring Lake, it will be a long time before this storm is out of mind.
When people said it was going to be bad, what was your thought?
My thought was, since I've been here so long and rode through all the worst of these storms and raised my kids here, I had no fear of it.
But for Gloria Olson, who's lived a block from the ocean for 52 years, that changed when Sandy showed its teeth. And as Olson begins cleaning up, the question becomes how to rebuild. The boardwalk is gone and the beach is a mess. And they are economic linchpins in this region.
These towns are all built on tourism. What will happen if they don't rebuild the beaches and get it back up again? I mean, I think it'll devastate all the businesses.
Barrier islands off the coast were simply hammered. New Jersey has spent more than $425 million to replenish beaches over the past decade. In simple terms, pumping in sand to make beaches more enjoyable for tourists. Much of that has washed away. The state's governor, Chris Christie, told residents here what they wanted to hear.
We will get up and we'll get this thing rebuilt and we'll put things back together because that's what this state is all about.
Many have yet to digest the full extent of the devastation, but environmentalists and coastal planners are saying now is the time to consider rebuilding in a different way. Building more jetties and seawalls, continue to replenish beaches, and the difficult decision, moving some homes further from the ocean. Kisong Guo is an environmental engineer teaching at Rutgers University.
There are certain spots where it's more vulnerable than other spots. Maybe we rebuild some location, but not others. But not to build at all, I would say that probably not acceptable in terms of economics.
New York puts its financial loss at $6 billion from the storm. Surely damage estimates in New Jersey will run into the billions. But New Jersey needs its beaches and boardwalks. Tourism adds up to a $4 billion a year industry here. And then there are the emotional concerns.
After growing up here, yeah, I'd like to see them rebuild it, and I think that they will.
Now, typically after a natural disaster, the U.S. federal government pays 75% of the cleanup and repair cost, while state and local governments pay the remaining portion. However, there's no question the U.S. is still mired in an economic slump and money is tight for the states. New York and New Jersey have already indicated they want the federal government to pay all of the billions it will take to make this region whole again. Elaine?
Well, Sean, the boardwalk goes back decades and decades. Does anyone think that they won't rebuild?
In terms of the boardwalk, the people that we talk to, if they do think that, they won't say it out loud. Everybody wants the boardwalk rebuilt. It's such a part of New Jersey. You always hear about the Jersey Shore. It's something that people across this country can think of, and it makes them think of good, entertaining times. But as I mentioned, the big chunk of the boardwalk washed away last year, and he talked about how far the boardwalk goes back. It was actually built in the Depression under a workman's program. It was built back in 1937 during the Great Depression. So a lot of people found it very sad to see a giant portion of it wash away right now while they're mired in another economic slump.
Okay, Sean Callebs reporting live from Toms River, New Jersey. Thank you.